Good morning, good morning, good morning. Hold on, let me see a clear vision. Word. Today's May 5th, 2021. A little tired today. I'm out of it. It's not that I'm physically tired, nah, not that. Just so much bullshit going on. You know how shit goes, man. Feel me? I'm on my way to work as usual, as you can see, man. Construction's going on. Feel me? Still studying and shit like that, you know how shit go, man. Another day, feel me? It's a beautiful day today. Only got a regular shirt. Only got a regular t-shirt, man. You just button up the top, that's it. Feel me? But it's a nice day, sunny. Outside, the sun is beaming. Feel me? Just got off the bus about 10 minutes ago. Walking. Yeah, today's today, man. You feel me? Another day, another lesson. Every day. What's the topic of the day? It's gonna be on my favorite subject. The more I learn about the narcissist and everything else like that, the more knowledge. Not awareness is the let's start it off. In order for you to be aware, you have to have enough information for you to be aware. So the more knowledge I have, the more aware I am about the things that surround me. You feel me? So if I'm walking right now and I see the trees and everything else, and I have enough information about the trees and the skies and the ground that I'm walking on, that is much more of the awareness that I'm in. That means that I am alive in the moment itself. You cannot be alive without having the information at hand for you to be alive. You understand what I'm saying? So it's like as I can walk into a room, right? Somebody said it best. I can't even shout people out, no, because they be hating and shit like that. But you can walk into a room, right? If your awareness, hold on. You can walk into a room, right? And if your awareness is a psychology, right? And you see somebody that's too charming and everything else like that, you be like, this person could be borderline narcissistic. You feel me? Why is this person so nice? What is he trying to get out of me? Because your knowledge provides you to read people's character and characteristics and everything else like that, and the emotional state of mind. Another person can walk into a room who is an electrician, and they can look at the walls and be like, they'll be aware of all the wiring system and everything else like that. And a construction can also walk into the same room and be aware of the wall and everything else like that. But everybody else is focused on what their knowledge allow them to focus on. So you can only see as far as your profession is. You feel me? As far as your what do you call it? As far as your PhD holds, you feel me? As far as your knowledge will take you. But if you are a person who's very knowledgeable in a lot of areas and things, you get to see more when you walk into a place, or you get to see more when you walking outside, because your awareness is that much higher. So just learning about narcissists, one of my new favorite topics to learn. It's not like you judging or you criticizing people or any shape like that, but it's like you just aware of your surroundings. You are noticing things that you've learned, and you pick up on these things. With the more knowledge that you gain, the much bigger the world becomes. You feel me? It's only a small world when you're paying attention to things that don't matter. But once you can, somebody else said that too. You can be in a small room and pick up a book and start reading it, and the room become that much bigger. You feel me? So it's not even the physical world that we in. It's the fact that is how much information can you hold from experience. You have to do the work, of course. That's the difference between an average person and a narcissist. Sometimes the narcissist lacks their experience. They lack the experience of going through it, because experience builds some. How can I put this? Experience build the world that you was. I can't even say the experience build the world that you experience, but experience builds as far as you can go in the world. To tell you the truth, because the lessons that you learn, that's part of your experience too. If I'm reading a book over and over, my experience of reading that book and everything else will project the world out to me. You feel me? You feel me? It gives me the space. It stretches out space itself. You feel me? A little bit of information give you a little more space for you to think. You feel me? So the more that you learn, the more that you learn, the more that you learn, it widens out the space that you in. You feel me? And it also simultaneously fills in the void that is in you. You feel me? Because people who don't have nothing going for themselves sometimes feel the emptiness in them. But more information that you take in, it fills in that void. And when you project yourself out there into the world, it is that much wider, because now you have a space that's endless. You understand? This is why God, when we think about God itself, we think about God as being the magnificent. It's like unlimited. You can't even fathom it. You feel me? Because there's so much awareness and so much information and so much consciousness within that God itself, that there's no limit to how far that God can go. You feel me? It's like beyond your thoughts, because there's so much information. So the more information you have, the more space and the more awareness and the further you can go in life itself, even in ideology. That's a fact. That's why you stay in school for 8 years. That's why you stay in school for 8 years. You feel me? Because the longer you stay in school and the more information that you take on, the higher your pay rate is, the more money you're supposed to be getting. You feel me? Even in theory, it works in that form. You feel me? But let me get back to the narcissist part, and let me tell you, because we're gonna go to the origin of the narcissist itself. And the narcissist is like a serpent. You feel me? From the research that I'm doing, feel me? The narcissist is like a serpent. And where do we hear the serpent from? A snake. A serpent is something that sheds its skin. That's exactly what the narcissist does. The shedding of his skin, whatever how you pronounce that word, the shedding of his skin is the discard of a mask. Basically, the narcissist is never in. He feels like he's never in his right mind or his right body. Remember, it's a personality disorder. So the narcissist is like a serpent itself, always sharing his skin and becomes something else. And when that don't work out anymore, it shares his skin and becomes something else. The narcissist plays to different advantage. You feel me? The reason why the narcissists always have to play to these different kind of things, because it has lacked the infrastructure. There's a piece missing, so it is never stable. That's why it always got to move from one point to another, one point to another, one point to another. Even in the speech, what I'm talking right now, I'm kind of a narcissist because I'm jumping from one point to another, but it's gonna make sense after I'm finished. Word up. You feel me? It jumps from one point to another, one point to another, because it's never. It's like I said, it's like a serpent that sheds his skin. I'm talking about the characteristics of him being who he is. And narcissists usually start from birth itself. So experience birth, when your parents pamper you too much into not experiencing things that you're supposed to experience, like getting your ass whipped by other kids. Like when you do something wrong, you're supposed to be held accountable for it. Guess what happens? It does not complete an infrastructure. It does not complete. It doesn't give you a space for you to operate, because guess what? You have been abused in that sense. Abuse necessary does not mean abuse necessary does not mean, hold on, let me pass. Abuse necessary does not mean physical or emotional harm. Abuse can be me abusing a child by not allowing that child to face the consequences of the things that they did. That's an abuse too. Abuse is like like I'm violating somebody's borders. Basically, I have not allowed that person to endure the things that they supposed to endure. If somebody spilled a milk on the floor, if a child of mine spilled the milk on the floor and everything else like that, and I try to shield him from the embarrassment and be like, oh, that's just the milk and everything else like that, and I don't allow that child to experience the guilt. You feel me? I shield them from everything else. Or let's just say the same child spilled the milk on the floor, and I over exaggerate and basically beat him unconscious. You know how much this shit costs? This shit costs $2. Da, 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 da. You have to allow the child to go through the emotion of what they supposed to feel. We abuse them by not allowing them to experience how did the child really feel in that moment? Did they feel bad or did they feel sad? And was the right information there for me to correct that child in that moment and be like, hey, you spilled the milk, clean it up. Not over exaggerating about it, you feel me? Or no, just clean it up. Or instead of saying, oh, it's okay, da da da, and everything else like that, show them and try to be like, oh, it's okay. Oh, little Richie, look at that. You got the soft butter finger, and try to make a soft conversation out of it. You feel me? We have to be very honest with our kids. We can't try to be friendly with the kid and everything else, or we can't be too mean to the kid. Both sides go into the effects of playing to the narcissist, but it's so much to it. I don't even want to go into that avenue or that realm. I want to go to the origin of the narcissist itself, and I'm going straight to the Bible itself about the serpent itself. And the serpent who deceived Adam and Eve was the illustration of what a narcissist was in the beginning itself. And that's what narcissistical people do, you feel me? They will never tell the truth, you feel me? They will tell a little bit of truth and twist it. You feel me? They will tell a little bit of truth and twist it. The serpents, let me see. Nah, damn, I don't even have my other phone. I would have been like, let me see what the word for word what the serpent said to Adam and Eve. But the serpents would take a little bit of the scripture. He took this a little bit of the scripture, twist the truth a little bit to paint a gender. That was the first form of gaslighting, you feel me? To be like, yo, you're not going. Like, when he told you, he said, you surely die if you eat the fruit. That's what he told you? Basically, that's a serpent that was talking. He said, that's what he told you? Man, you ain't gonna surely die. You're gonna be aware. You're gonna be da-da-da. You feel me? The serpent knew. The serpent or the narcissist knew the truth itself, but did not tell the truth because he needed, or it needed, let's use the word it needed to deceive Adam and Eve against God so that he can use them for his own purpose. You feel me? This is what narcissistical people do. The shredding of the skin, the sneakness of it all. They're coming out of nowhere. Like this water right here. I had to put water on my face. Narcissists, like I said, they're sneaky. They'll never confront you one-on-one. They will always go behind your back to do something to you. Feel me? This is what they do. You see that in the Bible itself. When God rests on the seventh day, that's when the serpent, like a snake, came out to deceive his children. Mind you, Adam and Eve at that time too were underdeveloped. This is when the narcissist, a serpent, come in with misinformation to deceive a child at that stage, that critical stage of learning. You have to understand that, you feel me? Adam was still learning. Adam just asked for Eve and everything else like that. The learning process was something else that's still going on. This nigga's a clown. They're just clowns. Just clowns. That's narcissistical behavior and tactics. Anyway, the learning process was still going on. So they paint So you have to see Adam and Eve as a child that is growing up. Imagine them as brothers and sisters. Whoa. Imagine them as brothers and sisters, brothers and sisters growing up. Then you have the serpents that came in there. Why the parents? Well, I wouldn't say parents, but the narcissist. Let's separate the narcissist from itself. Let's see the narcissist as a demon, which it is a demon, of course. But the lack of information for a child, or the wrong information that you feed a child in that moment, is critical to how that child is going to be when it grows up. And that's how narcissism, that's how narcissists are made itself, because of the too much attention or lack of too much attention. You feel me? That's what makes a narcissist. But usually narcissists are one, right? Imagine a snake shearing, whatever they call it, its skin off. Each skin become another version of the narcissist itself. You feel me? So instead of you thinking, oh, sure, the skin is not alive no more. No, the skin itself has become another version of what the narcissist is. It could be a covert narcissist. It could be another form of narcissist. So but the narcissist is just one narcissist. They manipulate. They want the excessive need of admiration, whatever, the attention seeking, all these things. All narcissists need that. You feel me? They just express it in different form, but they all are the same. It's just the expression of it, the intention of it. What the fuck, man? Fuck. They got this big ass bee, whatever the fuck it is. I can't remember those shits in Africa. You feel me? So this is a form of narcissism. But let's get back to the Bible itself. This is very important so we can see the origin of where the narcissist start itself. So Adam and Eve was in like a childlike state of mind. And their father, which is God, the father himself, that's why they say father, and our Father who art in heaven. That's funny. But anyway, the father itself, who's the teacher, who's supposed to be guiding the children and everything else, happened to have stepped away, but he gave them instructions on what to do and what not to do. But he allowed the child to experience on their own. You feel me? He allowed Adam and Eve to experience the reality on their own. Because your reality, your experience gives you the space and the ability to go as far as you want. You feel me? The learning and everything, your knowledge, the awareness. Remember, I started off with that. Boom. So God is already allowing Adam and Eve to experience it. But he said, you can do whatever you want. Just don't touch that tree in the middle. Don't touch that shit at all. Don't do it. You feel me? Instructions are already given. There's a law in place. Now let's see if you can follow these things. You feel me? So that was all it did. Now this is when the narcissists, the serpents, come in. Twist God's word. That's what narcissistical people do. Gaslighting. That's another thing that narcissistical people do. You feel me? They gaslight the situation, turn things around just so you can serve their agenda. You feel me? And that's what the serpent did itself. So that critical stage of a child growing up is when these narcissistical behavior kind of seek in because of the things that they learn. It's an environment. It's an environment factor. So what do you see in that environment of the what do you call it? In the Bible itself, it was an environment factor. Even though the guy was doing everything, the Bible is telling you, even you as a parent, you can be doing everything right and everything else like that. But there are demons out there. There are kids out there who parents haven't done a good job. And that can also be a factor in how you move forward with your kids and everything else like that. So you got to get to see in the first scripture. That's why I love Genesis. Because Genesis you don't have to read that much into the whole book. It's all about having faith in what you read and breaking it down to your perspective, and you get to see everything through it itself. Now you could be a scholar and reading the book and everything else like that, and you know word back and forth and everything else like that. But if you read all of that and you still don't have faith in just a little bit of the words that you read, then it's like you just a nerd that know how to read good. That's all. And you just, you know what I mean? It's like, how much more books do you need to be convinced? You feel me? Because people will read the whole Bible back and forth and be like, there's still lost books. There's a lost book. The Bible is incomplete. And I'm like, damn, my nigga, you didn't get enough out of that scripture Look at all that information that it holds. Even the first sentence alone is enough for me. I believe that's it, nigga. Like, I don't need no more. You feel me? But some people will read the whole book, go to church every Sunday, and it's not enough. That's a narcissistic behavior itself. You feel me? Like, how much more prayer do you have to do? You can pray 5 times a day, and yet you still don't get the point. It's like, what else do you need, my G? You feel me? This is what I'm talking about with these people. It's like it was some point in their life where space was not stretched enough, where the knowledge itself was not stretched enough. Now you're thinking they're grown, but sometimes when you're stuck in your ways, you can only filter the new information that is coming in through the filter that you've already created. Remind you, the filter itself, the regulator, something that regulates your information itself, is something that is built through childbirth itself. You feel me? So if that is corrupted, if that is disrupted in any form or shape, then guess what? It's coming through that filter, that RNA, the creation of it all. It's coming through that filter, and it's going to be misinformed. And that's how they don't process the things they're supposed to process in that format, because it's like through childbirth, somebody have deceived them through that process. And they never take accountability, because people are so quick to point at me, but yet they don't see the flaws that they do. How can you look at my actions and call me something else and neglect your own actions? You feel me? That's why when Adam and Eve had a child and everything else, they were still going through the same problem. You know why? Because Cain was like, yo, where's your brother? Everybody knew what he did to his brother. It's like, where is your brother? I'm not my brother's keeper. You know what I mean? This is what narcissistic people do. They deflect. They don't want to take ownership of. They take ownership only when it benefits them, but they don't take ownership of the wrong things that happen. They always point to the next person. He did it. You feel me? Got it from his father. It's the woman that gave me. Deflecting. You feel me? They're showing you within that time that once you don't develop that right chemistry, it's a dance, baby. It's a dance. We got to get the right dancing partner. Right? Once you don't develop that right chemistry, as soon as it happened when God came to Adam, it's like, yo, what happened? Didn't I tell you not to eat that shit? It's the woman that gave me. And guess what? When it was cast out, later on, another generation came, Cain and Abel. When God asked Cain, he's like, yo, I'm not my brother's keeper. Deflecting. Because in the birthing stage of Adam's and Eve earlier life, guess what happened? They disobeyed. You feel me? Obedience is better than sacrifice. I knew I was going to come back to that. They disobeyed what was already in place already. You feel me? They listened to something else. They had the wrong form of information. You feel me? That disrupt the spacing that was needed to be created to move forward. The infrastructure or the fabric of what they was supposed to be made out of had holes in it. You feel me? Something went wrong within that process itself, and it was a serpent that came in and disrupt that information. It was a serpent. The information is gonna come, but it's like the limits of it all too. That could be another problem itself. You feel me? I'm talking in circle itself because the thoughts is coming in, then I'm trying to make sense of it while I deliver it, everything. But we're gonna stick to the subject. I'm sorry for that. But it's almost like a disobedience of things. It's the lifestyle of it. I always say narcissist is the lifestyle. We know what's the right thing to do, but here you are as a parent, you drinking, you using drugs and everything else like that. You're not being responsible and everything else. Those are the disobedience part of it. And you, let's say you partying too much. You're not going to sleep at the right time. Like, these little things do matter. Like, you feel me? You're not regulating your behaviors and everything else like that. You probably on the phone too much. You are allowing people to do this and do that. So when you have a child in any form of shape and everything else like that, you more than likely to teach them the same behavior. All the toxics and things that you've taken in can disrupt the development of the child's brain itself, and how this makes that child personal disorder, have some form of disability. You feel me? Because of the lifestyle that you chose. And you as a parent, instead of you taking responsibility, or as a community or as a country taking responsibility for the things that you've done, you neglect it and act like it wasn't your fault anyway. You feel me? That's why they don't want to pay no reparation and shit, because to admit to what you've done is taking accountability to what is going on. So by not paying the reparation to the African American community, sometimes they don't take responsibility for what has happened. You feel me? You feel me? That's a narcissistic point of way and everything. And the behavior of narcissists affects the victim and also, of course, the narcissists themselves. You feel me? They already narcissists. There's no more affecting going on. Then narcissistic people never change. It takes decades and decades for them to realize that they're narcissists, but the behavior never changed. The behavior is permanent. You feel me? It's part of the build up. It's like, that's why I say you cannot change the history. You feel me? When it comes to the individual person, or when it comes to the group, or when it comes to an infrastructure, or when it comes to an institution, or when it comes to the country itself, you cannot change that part of your history. You just can't change it. I can't change my history of things. They can't change their history of things. You feel me? You just can't change. The best thing you can do is to learn, be aware. Like I said from the beginning, I told you it's going to all make sense. Is to be aware of the amount of information that is coming in. Empty out your cup, receive this new information in, and see how you can take encounter to the things that's going to come forward. That's how you start moving in direction of rebuilding. You feel me? Or repairing. You feel me? Or regenerating. Whatever you, however you want to put it. Or pat, like, you know, admit to your mistake in some kind of, I'm sorry, this, that, and third, da 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 da. You feel me? Be accountable for the things that you do. It's amazing that May is supposed to be mental illness month, but mental illness only being, what is this? Mental illness is only being addressed as an individual thing, and I feel like we should mentally, when we address mental illness, we should look at it from a global point of view. How institutions could be attributed. They probably adding on to the mental illness around the world itself. How a country can be adding on to mental illness around itself. Not taking accountability can also be something that adds on to mental illness itself. You'd be sorry how just admitting to something that you did to somebody can relieve that person of the grip of the demon that's holding on to them. Because most of the time, a victim of a mental illness, all you have to, most of the time, the abuse is still in their head, the person is still in their head and everything else. If the person was to come around and say, yes, I did this to you and I'm sorry and everything else, it's a relief. You know what I mean? It's like a hand on your shoulder that keep holding you down. It's like they keep pressing your shoulders down. If that person could just take their hands off, it's a big relief. You feel me? It's a huge relief when somebody can just admit to that. Like, I never seen nobody come out here and all of a sudden I see somebody, two people walking in my path, walking around like me. You see what's going on? Look at the nigga waving. He's just a cloud chaser. Like, these people are the worst kind of people, I tell you. Now he's like, hey. Like, they want to do the whole waving thing. It's like, it's amazing when you point something out to somebody and they feel very guilty. It's like, you can't deny what has been said and the research that's being done right now. Remind you, narcissist is like a century old. The research has been going on for a century, and it makes sense for it to be a century old, because after the storm is over, you get to see what has happened, the debris and the devastation of what has happened. So 100 years old, let's just say 60 years ago, civil rights movement was still going on, right? Before that, there was still some form of slavery and things going on. So it makes sense that they picked it up at that point in time. If it's a century old, if you take a look into the history itself, you can tell there's problems that's coming or that is already here that we haven't seen it yet. There's people out there doing the research already. So the first form of research, or the first form of identifying the problem, was 100 years ago, right? So this is something that has been going on for a long time, and they're still trying to figure it out, because we still don't know the ins and out about what a narcissist really is. You feel me? You know what I mean? Mind you, the world has been restarted already. There's nothing new under the sun. The work has already been done. It's just being explained in different ways in the Bible itself, and we have to catch it with each awareness that we gain. Once I gain an awareness, it's like I'm gaining a different lens of glasses that I can actually put on. I don't have to take the old glasses off. It's actually something that just automatically flips and comes in. It's like, one of the imagine the advanced technology glasses that you can ever imagine in your mind itself, right? And this glass can turn into your old version of thinking, can turn into the new information that you have. So when I see something or something I've already read and I get a new information, it gives it more color to what I'm looking at that I didn't see before. It's like that gray area gets to brighten up and you get to see these things, you feel me? So it's like it opens your eye up to a lot of things that you didn't get to see in the past because you lack the information to see these things in the past. So I say that to say this. Some of these people, when the information is presented to them, right, and you are guilty of such things, right? Let it pass. And you are guilty of such things, instead of owning up to these things. Like when I was reading the narcissist thing, I'm like, yo, that's crazy. I have some of these symptoms. I could be that. Like I was being very, very honest with it. But as I was listening to that person, even the psychologist was like, I'm also guilty of these things. And I'm like, that feels good, because I was thinking the same thing too. And they say, look, man, some of these symptoms we all share. It's just the intention and the pattern of the pattern of it. The fact that they've been doing it for a very, 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 very long time. But if you see yourself doing this, and you have to watch the traits of why you're not a narcissist too. You feel me? And it's like, don't deny yourself this thing for you to heal yourself. Don't deny yourself these things. These people get so scared because they're being exposed in some kind of manner, at least in their mind. You feel me? And it's like their history, according to not the history of the world. I'm talking about my own problems and how they be antagonizing me, and all the things that they've been doing. It's been matching up with the gaslighting and everything else like that, trying to diagnose me, trying to make me into something that I'm not. Then when these things don't go right, they manipulate it. You feel me? All these things is matching up. So now they just refuse to accept the information that is out there. They just refuse to accept it. Now they try to play reverse psychologist and try to make it seem like it is him. It is, which they was already doing. That's why I started doing the research already. Because I guess they must have found themselves, and they was like, oh, hell no, we gonna pin it on him. And they've been trying all this time to try to make me into something that I'm not. I'm not these things, you feel me? That's why the quitting of my cigarettes, the quitting, the fact that I don't drink and everything else, they try to force the drugs onto you, they try to force the alcohol onto you and everything else like that. And it's like, nobody is fooled because you were so braggadocious. That's what narcissistic people do too. So they're matching all these things.